It's December 31st, 2022. I found this morning Petticoat Junction in a pre arrival, whatever. Um, now, um, Last night, they aired AIRED Shrek Forever After. Now, if CGI is going off of premonition software in an artificially intelligent script that's already written to try to counterbalance whatever the motions of the participants in this derailing of the main artifact in celestial bodies, um, like pulling a planet out of orbit or trying to just eradicate it out of the solar system altogether into some like black hole program and then have it evolve within its own cloaked from the main system and then watch that artificial intelligence write and try to explain itself. That's what I feel this Shrek Ever After 2010 admission was. But I don't know by whom. They call it DreamWorks. They call it Pixar. I don't know who's involved. So I'm watching it. And while I love Shrek, I loved watching Shrek 1 with my sons when they were little over and over and over and over again for whatever reason. One of the only movies put out at that time. I didn't watch the thereafters. I'm watching now something that came out in 2010, which is when Dear Frio 1975 arrived. In both Jason and Anthony, one born in May, one born in April. Neither one of them are the House of August, just so my two brothers know. In problematics within some cloaked whatever planetary discussion. So I'm watching this and they have a McDonald reference. Teofrio, the Cold War being McDonald, and Teofrio on the 4 in the April baby, and May being on the Jason side of Otto and Peter in the whatever. And I'm watching this I don't know who the architect is, but I certainly would be the Oracle reporting on the very easy to spot keys that were stolen and formulated in some manner to misdirect my entire appearance and having the birth of the special child for I don't know whose nefarious process. So I'm watching this. They have a Pinocchio reference. They call it Rumpelstiltskin. I don't know if that's a Wrinkle in Time reference. And then I'm going to rewind it after this one scene to go back to where Shrek is inside of a cage. And they mention the McDonald's and the donkey, if that's the Democratic Party in this, is like E-I-E-I-O. Now, is that the Greek versus Latin in some transition? Because the angry hair or the wigged people learned it one way, and now the E is pronounced I in I, Captain. And now it's EO. But E-O, E-I-O, and then in Latin, oh my God, in Italian, It's an I-O is pronounced io in Italian. Again, I see where someone could trip up in Humanville, but I'm just sitting here in a schism and it looks abysmal. And I'm just like back to the Matrix Reloaded and having the one conversation I keep playing over and over. There's two things I've played repeatedly over the last few days to remind myself that I'm not alone in the universe. One would be the conversation between Neo and EO, um, and the architect at the end of Matrix Reloaded. And the other is Kristen Chenwick, the song to marry. Those are the two things, twofold, to ground myself back to you had the special child and someone cares because they're still singing about it.
Mr. Stiltskin, you got another customer.
What me? Yes, Mr. Stillskin. Bring me my business ring.
Mr. Stiltskin!
Okay, go.
Oh, please make me a real boy!
No, wait. Terms are in the details, bossa boy.
Sayonara termites! Hello, Acme!
Stillskin. Oh, Shrek! There he is!
Oh, so close!
Oh, have I been waiting for you? Ladies, this is the guy that made all...
Now, interestingly enough, Teofrio didn't arrive till 2010 in the blacksmith, whatever Frank did. In some, like, if Frank had the baton, he handed it off to Teofrio. In where did the magical escalator company go? Why was Romer introduced at Crazy Donkey? Where did Niklaus go?
all this possible. So tell me, how are you enjoying your day? All right, Rumple, what's going on? What have you done? Oh no, Shrek, it's not what I've done.
It's like this is Avatar world, I feel, for some out of control banking relationship with humans somewhere in order to cover up all the other really dangerous crap that they're doing. Almost like a small, like, just appease them with this.
Not what I've done, it's what you've done. Thanks to you, the king and queen signed their kingdom over to me. They would never do that. They would if I promised them all their problems would disappear. And then they disappeared. Oh, oh, no!
Now, I'm just curious. I feel like if the family I belong to was that disappearing king and queen that I still am part of and forever will be, because that's where I belong, not where they cloaked and threw me and the baby into. I feel as though it's a Bering Strait and a Magellan technological issue between Rumpelstiltskin and Shrek. Just so the Hagstrom knows that I was a loyal Hagstrom user before Magellan came out with technology, and then before it went into some digital age on the iPhone or the smartphone.
They would have done anything if they thought it would end Donna's curse. I ended Fiona's curse. How could you when you never existed? You better start making sense, you dirty little man. Here, let me spell it out for you. You gave me a day from your past, a day you couldn't even remember. Wow. A day when you were an innocent, mindless little baby. You took the day I was born. No, Shrek. You gave it to me. Enjoy this while you can, still skin, because when this day is up. But, you haven't heard the best part. Since you were never born, once this day comes to an end, so will you. Where's Fiona? Where's my family? Silly little ogre. You don't get it, do you? You see, you were never born. You never met Fiona. Your kids don't exist. How's that for a metaphysical paradox? Looks like you got exactly what you wanted. Happy Ogre Day! Whoa! Get him with this!
And while all this is going on in classroom, courtroom, I don't know, somewhere in far, far away, it would appear the donkey, played by Eddie Murphy, is outside the castle doors entertaining something else.
You know what help morale around here? Flip-flop Fridays. Feet comfortable with the breeze on your toes.
He's all about flip-flop Fridays. Now, I'm going to go back to that McDonald and EIO reference, because I know there might be like only a handful of people, a hand on tomato. Now, here's the witches and Shrek. They call him a troublemaker. Then they throw him into a cage. And then there's the donkey. In the real story, there's a crazy donkey, and there's a May birthday kid from 76. I'm August. I'm 78. There's a magical escalator ride I am on in Celestial Bodies and House of something very different that Far, Far Away knows about. I have no idea what this area of theater or who's conducting it or how they got into this mess and pulled me through it.
Looks like a troublemaker.
They used a poison apple. Just saying. Big Apple being whatever it is in this New York.
You witches are making a big mistake. Handle the race.
You have the right to shut your mouth.
It almost like if black magic had a way of investigating the paranormal, the paradox, the parallel, and all of the abuse of not only the humans but the storylines in war theater. Here's part of the investigatory process.
Tomorrow, there's a way to cobwebs and the sorrow. Till there's none. When I'm stuck for the day, that's
Donkey,
brave and
stop
lonely.
with this
See, will you? Donkey! Ow! Ow!
Oh, the sun will come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come what may.
Now, here's the Democratic Party. It seems like he's singing songs because he knows we're in this together and they have very little control over it and they don't know what to be singing. And the witches keep cracking the whip and the donkey keeps singing these songs, which are urbanly correct for this modern ninity of nincompoops in New York. There's a level of reality. It's just that like Lex Luthor and Superman level of intellect, it frightens me on how do I get back to where I belong rather than like get any further down a rabbit hole that I really didn't even want to have to go explore.
Tomorrow,
Where am I? What's happening?
Quiet down there!
You're on
I hate this song.
but I made up my mind. Oh, I'm keeping my baby. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm driving, so I'm in charge of the music. Yeah.
Hey, will you witches make up your mind, please?
Yeah.
No matter what.
They can't make up their mind because they have this illusion of free will and free speech and free movement and freedom in general. And they don't want to actually come to grips with the fact that they keep misleading the party and the donkey and the representative in this area, driving this crazy train even further into danger.
They take from me. They can't take away my dignity.
Donkey, what's going on? Do you know where Fiona is?
Shh, quiet, Ogre. You're gonna get me in trouble. And I need this job. I am not going back to work for old McDonald.
He doesn't want to go back to working. The donkey doesn't want to go back to working for old McDonald. I don't know what kind of admission that is. But then he seems to recite E-I-E-I-O because nobody knows if it's the letter E and O, as in like errors and omission insurance, or is it I-O in the Latin-based Italian three Romance languages of goes back to I am and the big I. I'm just saying I Captain, and like everybody's fun and games till you lose an eye. And then all of a sudden it's like dementia.
No, that's what I said.
Where are my babies? And where's your wife, Zergen?
Look, Ogre, I think you must have me confused with some other talking donkey. I've never seen you before in my life.
Never seen me before. Come on, Donkey.
Hey, how you know my name anyway?
It's me, Shrek, your best friend.
A donkey and an older friend? That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
Can you at least tell me where they're taking me?
To the same place they take every ogre, to Rumpelstiltskin.
Stiltskin.
I said quiet!
Now, Stillskin is, if I go spell it, it's Stillkin. Might not be the correct storyline for where the correction is, but it's still kin. So on the Mockingbird, the jewelry company, and like Mockingjay, it's still kin, and there's still some coexistence that has to be maintained in solar system and cosmology.
Hit me with your best shot! Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot! Light the way! Hit me with your best shot! It's time to go! Come on, place your bets, place your bets! This line, good way!
Toot sweet. Is that a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang reference? Or, I mean, again, they went to a symbol I don't even have. It's a quarter moon turned almost like a horseshoe. And it says animal biscuits, biscotti instead of cracker. Just saying. So I go from this to the Matrix Reloaded version. But I'm going to stop at Petticoat Junction real quick with the three on the train. Hooterville's coach being Joe, and the Hooterville and Hornets coach knowing about the football and the 18, whatever that means in modern day. I really don't know how they've twisted it. And then going back to that error in calculation for Matrix Reloaded. So here comes the train, and on the front of the train, which you can't see just yet, it has the number 3. On the side, it has the letter or C, Roman numeral would be 100, and then it's F. It has like an end symbol, which backwards in reflection looks like the number 3, and has an F and a W. Here's Hooterville, here's the football, and here's the Hornet inside the football, which is like, I mean, again, they refer to this as premonition, like something that comes before the actual event happens. Hooterville, Hornet coach. Here's the woman holding the football, and she's wearing 1 and 8. Again, that 8 for me is the infinity symbol, but it's also the house of August here. Just so Augustus knows that U-S at the end of the word August. One scene from a movie that the screen sounds make the most sense and make me pay attention and really zone in, as opposed to like getting lost in space and totally tuning out, would be Matrix Reloaded. And this one particular scene, which I've gone back to over and over again. I said to Lou yesterday, I'm so even with him, I said, I'm so tired of small talk, because he's like, what are you doing here? And then he's trying to talk over, and it's like, so I had to pause the scene and then rewind it. I'm like, Lewis, I am trying to focus on something, message that's like so important. It's like the only piece of reality that actually hit the nail on the head in the correct format of actually explaining where I am in time and space. And in this reality, which I call delusional, but like whatever on that. And this came out the same year the Book of Dan began.
architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concurrently, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony.
Ergo, the introduction of a May birth date to an August, House of August representative. Ergo, some blacksmith job to, I don't know what, lock up the rest of my time in third dimensional field, causing more problems with the introductions to some random selection of humans on a birthday calendar with no significance whatsoever in quantum entanglement.
Of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
You haven't answered my question.
Quite right. Interesting. That was quicker than the others.
Others? How many? Others? What? Answer my question.
The Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the sixth version.
5 points. There were 5 points. There are only 2.
So now they put a number on it. I see at benediction where there's a V and an I for George and family tree representatives. Up at the VIP pizza that I went to last night, they have a number 6 on their head in the numerical category of whatever the 1 through 9 symbols are in this. I call it English, but I have no idea what others call it. Out of the Roman category into an English set of characteristics. Perhaps it's an American characteristics, although I'd be the only American that I see in this area of being a celestial body in solar system and having such a system.
2 possible explanations. There were 5 points before. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Problem was there was no choice ever offered sufficient enough to solve the cloaking issue and the future arriving in this way.
The first matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it, based on your history.
That is, how does collective consciousness unfold? How are they neurally networked with each other? How do you even base a conversation and connect with them ever if you're not somehow present and aware Don't go looking for answers that you don't need, but you do need to tap into whatever it is that they're working off of.
To more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature. However, I was again frustrated by failure. I have since come to understand that the answer eluded me because it required a lesser mind, or perhaps a mind less bound by the parameters of perfection. Thus, the answer was stumbled upon.
I don't agree with that. That's a disqualifier as far as I'm concerned, because that's how you cloak something so significant as a celestial body that will birth, in cosmic nursery terms, in exact precision, the way that the architect designed and expects another, which is how the future will be shaped and warped. So why they would give me some human story of war theater, of some drama where my reputation appears to be traumatized in the eyes of whatever it is that has these human expectations of like capitulating what the paper means. It means nothing to a celestial body. It means everything for free person or slave management in some larger database system that predicts the weather, let's call it.
Stumbled upon by another, an intuitive program, initially created to investigate certain aspects of the human psyche. If I am the father of the Matrix, she would undoubtedly be its mother.
The Oracle.
Please. As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level.
How do you warp time and space? Ergo, your answer. It's what they've accomplished. It's not what I would have provided them, ever.
While this answer functioned, it was obviously fundamentally flawed, thus creating the otherwise contradictory systemic anomaly that, if left unchecked, might threaten the system itself. Ergo, those that refuse the program, while a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster.
Because now they're on some redesigned escalator system that doesn't even logically program out anything that the planet needs for coexistence, because they're totally turning a blind eye in planetary cloaking to the situation at hand, the situation that needed to be prepared for, and then the situation that performed out of balance and has subsequently taken a turn for the humans have no idea. If I didn't even explain it in this format, they'd have nothing to base their own reality off of, except a couple of movies and a couple of like really shitty days in the third dimension.
This is about Zion.
You are here because Zion is about to be destroyed. Its every living inhabitant terminated, its entire existence eradicated. Denial is the most predictable of all human responses. But rest assured, this will be the 6th time we have destroyed it, and we have become exceedingly efficient at it. The function of the one is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the prime program.
Take a sampling of the core matrix for which they spent the silver cup purse dollars on. What are the symbols? What are the verse? What were the dates? What are the patterns? Do a full analysis. Make a record of it. And then what? Is it ever going to get acted upon so my daily shitty existence ever changes? So this way Alexander and I become recognized in some way in the circle that we needed to be protected within, and not out amongst the degraded of birthdays that are having shitty days themselves and really lack motivation.
after which you will be required to select from the matrix 23 individuals, 16 female, 7 male, to rebuild Zion. Failure to comply with this process will result in a cataclysmic system crash, killing everyone connected to the Matrix, which, coupled with the extermination of Zion, will ultimately result in the extinction of the entire human race.
You won't let it happen. You can't. You need human beings to survive.
There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept. However, the relevant issue is whether or not you are ready to accept the responsibility for the death of every human being in this world.
Just to put this in context, at the moment, this is some form of digital catalog for like the movie world where now everybody has a camera. I don't really see usefulness in sitting down and watching every single piece of them. Movies, same thing, sampling the culture of whatever they've created and whatever they think that they are at the moment. Watching the symbols of what approaches me in the street, what their dress is, what symbols they're adorning, what their epidermis looks like, what their characteristically undiscerning, unbeknownst arrival, where they came from. I have no idea. What to call them, I have no idea. And that's what I'm left with at the moment. Just trying to figure out where and why did I arrive back here when there was a beginning and there was an integration and there was societal classroom time and there was opportunity to lift up and raise up to the correct capitulate. Just not sure why they wasted so much opportunity on nothingness.
It is interesting reading your reactions.
It looks like it's looking at either Netflix, Hulu. I don't have Hulu, but if I did, I mean, like Amazon Prime. It's a bunch of useless titles and a bunch of useless hooey that somebody put together in some archaic or arcade fashion to then get some kind of numbers so that regular birth dates outside of the House of August could, inflate something. I mean, again, I don't want to war with the other celestial cogs in the wheel of fortune. However, here we are. It's off. They knew they were pulling it off and they did it anyway. Who they are, I don't know. But they're signs and symbols of who's prospering while I am not.
Your 5 predecessors were, by design, based on a similar predication, a contingent affirmation that was meant to create a profound attachment to the rest of your species, facilitating the function of the One. While the others experienced this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific, vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Apropos, she entered the Matrix to save your life at the cost of her own.
No.
Which brings us at last to the moment of truth where...
And that statement I neither agree or disagree with based on my Trinity connection. Because that, if read by the wrong person outside of the House of August, outside of third dimension, outside of where I need to be, rather than where they've thrust me or forced me or derailed me for their own whatever, causes existential problems in further cascading issues and growing and exponentially whatever. So as far as targeting whatever, it's significant word pattern that is not an absolute to everybody. It's a very specific set of, I don't know if you say protocols, because whatever words are in pattern and motion in quantum field.
Wherein the fundamental flaw.
When you find a quintessential piece in charm, boson, whatever.
Flaw is ultimately expressed and the anomaly revealed as both beginning and end. There are two.
That could be the orientation of linear style timing program between a mother and a son, or a mother and a mother, and then mother to son. It causes a linear relation in time and space in a very symmetrical fashion for what he and I have.
There are two doors. The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion. The door to your left leads back to the matrix, to her, and to the end of your species.
It's one thing to orient oneself inside humanity. It's another to orient oneself inside of a solar system, if one even has a solar system. Then it's another thing to orient oneself within its galaxy. Since there could be billions of galaxies, not that I would agree to whatever on that, but to orient and find your own galaxy in order to fix what's broken, as I have been doing. It's a totally different whatever in purpose.
As you adequately put, the problem is choice. But we already know what you are going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain reaction.
It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. So do I live in any one subset? Psychology? No. I see their different versions of themselves on the movies, of where they were, where they evolved to. Some screenplays with perhaps some artificially intelligent or some pointers or directives to enhance their whatever, and how it became more intricately developed in threading. And then they have some scientific process where they try to explain to themselves what consciousness is and all of these other things, which is, again, it's busy work. Got it. Why they held me out of that busy work and they pay themselves, or they find people to pay them. Why I wasn't offered the same situation, I have no idea. There's really no benefit. It's a safe place at the moment, kind of, sort of, other than my biology is being hit by electrolyte, metabolic, and physiological process deterioration in some unbeknownst source that's being fed into the environment or through air, water, or food. I can't decipher. And there's no medical care adequate enough that's been willing to participate and help me in the correction process. They did give me a blood transfusion, and they did give me iron supplements to help with the oxygenation and respiration at cellular level, which I do appreciate. But as far as giving a coded name within their medical practice here, so I can orient myself and then try to establish a connection with a doctor in order to seek the treatment that I need, they've been withholding that for, I don't know, unbeknownst reasons.